Welcome to Chino y Chicano. Well, it was last May that Matt found out that he had a cancerous tumor on his right kidney. He then found out that there was also some spread of the cancer. He found some spots on his lung as well as lymph nodes. Things were not looking all that great for a while there, particularly in trying to figure out how to treat all of this, Matt. Then you had a conversation with the doctor and decided to come up with a different game plan, and you went through immunotherapy. Talk about that.
Well, okay, so it's been 4.5 months since I was diagnosed, roughly, almost 4.5, 5 months, and it's been a ride. I mean,
Yeah, it
people
has.
have listened to people have listened to our podcast know that a couple months back I hit a low point. I mean, it was like we're not going to be able to operate. The cancer has spread to your lungs and in the lymphatic system. Not good news. So that's when they decided to switch me on a combination of immunotherapy with some targeted chemotherapy. And so I've had my third session with that, and it's real interesting. I mean, I felt better, but there's been no real encouraging news. In fact, this latest round, I started bleeding internally, and they didn't know what it was, so they called for a CT scan. So I went for a CT scan last Friday, and of course, I had to wait for the results because it was late in the day. Um,
Yes, you have to
and
spend the weekend waiting.
Yeah, but like I said, it's it's not going to change what happened or what's
Yeah,
going on. I mean,
right.
I've really taken that attitude, so I just enjoyed the weekend. Um, so I was able to get the report on Monday, and those reports are really hard to read. But from what I guessed was the actual immunotherapy was really working, and all the tumors have shrunk. The spots that were in my lung are have disappeared except for one small spot. So everything is, I mean, the my tumor mass has been reduced by almost over 50% its
Wow.
size. So I spoke to my doctor, and he said it's amazing. He goes that the treatment has taken hold so quickly. So I'm encouraged, right? I mean, you're never going to be out of the woods, but it's the best news I've had in almost 5 months.
It's great news, actually. It means that there's progress. But, you know, in the past, I don't know, what, 6 weeks or so, it seemed like that might be the case because you were talking about how you felt, and which was pretty good.
Yeah.
You had pretty good energy. It's not like you were dragging or anything like that. I know you've been very involved in what's happening with the Seattle Chinatown international district issue regarding the homeless and the homeless encampment possibly being placed adjacent there. And I know that's something that you and Guy, your wife, have been very involved in dealing with that issue. At times, I think I've said to you, "Hey, I think you need to kind of back off a little bit because that's a lot of stress that you don't need at a time like this."
Well, believe it or not, it is energizing. I mean, I mean, I care about a lot of things in life,
Right.
but this is the Chinatown International District is something I really do care about it. Um, I mean, throughout my career, right, I've done a lot of stuff to accomplish. I mean, I've accomplished a lot, but I always question the meaning of it, right? I mean, you have to do TV shows for entertainment,
Hoarders.
and 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 I think to myself, it's like what is the significance of what you've done? So I've been able to take everything I've learned and apply it to social causes, and one of those causes is the Chinatown International District. It actually has brought meaning to my work,
Yeah.
like nothing ever has. So it's important to me, and it energized me. And I'm out there leading rallies, talking to the media. I never thought I'd be on that side of the camera for stuff, but I did feel good. Um, so I knew in my heart when I went in for my CT scan, I knew that it wasn't going to be bad, but you never know. You prepare for that.
Right. Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised. Now, if we can keep going this way, that'd be great. I mean, I've had a few side effects that show up, some skin things, and most of all, the metallic taste that I have from the medication. So that's interesting because foods that I used to enjoy, that has basically has no taste to me now. So it's very interesting what I can tolerate, what I can't. I mean, I can tolerate everything, but it's just candy seems to be the only thing that tastes true to me, and ice cream, which is not great for your
Yeah,
diet, right?
that's not. What have they told you about your diet?
Well,
With
it was
all this?
interesting because I lost initially about 17 pounds. And then they said, well, you need to start eating more. And they had me on about 2,000 calories and 100 grams of protein. And that was a lot. I mean, you have to struggle to get 100 grams of protein in because, one egg is 7 grams. So it's a dozen eggs you'd have to eat a day to
Uh,
get enough protein. And along with the protein comes fat. So I was using a lot of plant protein. And I started gaining weight back quickly, almost too quickly. And then on my last blood test, they detected that my thyroid function has declined. So that slowed my metabolism down. So they put me on medication for that, and I seem to be evening out. My weight is plateaued off. I'm basically eating just normally what I normally do, which is usually around 12 to 1400 calories. And I'm feeling good. I mean, I don't feel like I have to eat all the time.
yeah. The last time we talked, you talked about some of the cost of the medications.
Hmm.
And fortunately, there are some programs out there to help you cut the costs. But still, you got to, pay a copay and things like that. You can do it, but
Yeah.
it's a big hit, isn't it?
Oh, well, I mean, I have insurance, and they have, especially for cancer treatment, they have funds that allow you to tap into to help with your copayment. If I this latest round, I realized the pills I take are $27,000 a month,
Oh my gosh.
and I basically it's pretty much covered by insurance and a grant that I was able to get. So I look at this, what is the price of your life? Now, I happen to be fortunate that I can afford probably what's ahead of us, what's ahead for me, but most people can't. That shows you how screwed up the system is, where you're, as an individual, are having to choose between life-saving medication and bankruptcy. I mean, I get it. It's so real. And this, you know, anyone who's suffered from catastrophic illness knows this. And it's just the system has to change.
Yeah, so many eye-opening things as you go through this. So what are the next steps now?
The next steps is just keep going. They extended my treatment into January. And I think, what they said was, you're on the right track. Things will keep shrinking and diminishing. Um, they said the mass on my kidney may never go away because it'll just be like scar tissue on there. And they detect the bleeding they detected. They feel was my tumor was shrinking so rapidly that there wasn't enough time for the lesion to heal as it separated. So so that's interesting to know. I haven't had any reoccurrence of that, but I think it's just keep going, hold the course, and probably at some point I'll come off the medicine, and then they'll see what happens, and
Right.
hopefully I get to that point. That would be a milestone to get to that point.
Well, if you consider, what, in May is when you found out about the tumor, and now we are what, how many months now?
About not quite 5 months.
Yeah. And the progress now
Hmm.
that you've had, particularly with the immunotherapy and this whole process. That's pretty good and very hopeful. And let's just hope that it continues. How's the family taking all this?
They're relieved. I mean, I know my wife is relieved because, like I've always said, it's harder on my family than it is me because I know how I feel day to day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, the, the the medicines are sort of amazing. I mean, it's sort of magic, but it gets better every day. And I think people that are facing the kind of choices I faced, I mean, you just got to go with it and make sure you have good doctors that will take care of you because there's not much you can do other than ride it.
Yep. Well, good news. Let's hope the progress continues and carry on.
Yeah. And as always, I mean, I thank everybody who supported me because it makes it a lot easier to go through this.
Right. Of course it does. Well, you'll continue to have the support of your friends around you and your family, I'm sure. So let's just keep going and it's going to be positive. It's going to work out.
Thank you.
All right.